Hi, this is Katrina Sargent, owner and creator of DDollCustomCreations. Today we're going to be doing a power wash peekaboo tumbler with 3D drips for epoxy and CrystaLac users. If you're new to my channel, welcome. If you're a subscriber, welcome back. Like always, I will have everything linked in the description below, including my beginners epoxy and CrystaLac videos. Hit that bell notification so you are notified every time I post a new video, which is every Wednesday. So you're going to start out with a prepped and painted white tumbler. I'm going to be using an Opal Glitz from Sass and Craft Glitters. It's this beautiful opal white shimmer. My favorite way to attach glitter is using CrystaLac's glitter glue and a paintbrush. So I kind of just slop it on and then smooth it out. This glitter glue is thinner than if you're working with Mod Podge, but it dries just as fast. So you need to kind of work at a speedier pace and make sure nothing is drying out on the top rim or your bottom edge. That's what's going to dry the fastest. So just keep running your paintbrush over it until you get it roughly as smooth as possible, and then you're going to quickly glitter it. After the glitter glue has dried, you're then going to take a piece of wax paper. You are going to pat down as you roll the wax paper over the tumbler. Do not rub up and down. You can make your glitter come off. But you're trying to get that glitter to lay as flat as possible. And then epoxy or bright tone until you don't feel any glitter, because you're going to sand after this cures before you put on your peekaboo spider webs. So I just cut out SVG spider webs in white vinyl. This is just going to be a stencil, so it doesn't really matter. You can use scrap vinyl. So I am doing a reverse weed. So what that means is I am adding my transfer sheet onto the vinyl and then removing the backing and weeding it off the transfer sheet. I do it two different ways. You can weed it off your tumbler like I'm going to do first, or you can add the entire piece of vinyl onto your tumbler and then weed out the vinyl off your tumbler. If your cuts are really small, that's the best way to do it. So I cut out a 2-inch circle out of transfer sheet. I am just going to add it in the place I want my decal. This is just so I don't add too much spray paint in that area. You don't have to do this. This was just a precaution step on my part. So once I've added that, now I'm going to be adding the spider webs around the tumbler. Once you have all your decals on, you're going to take it outside and you're going to be doing Dawn dish soap power wash and your top color of choice. I am focusing on where I added that 2-inch circle and then just a little bit random sprays around. Where you spray your soap is going to stay white, and then wherever you spray your spray paint is going to be black. So you want to just do a little splatters because you have your stencil still to think about. You're going to then spray it with your top coat and then rinse it off fast with a hose. Once that is dry, then you can come back in and remove all of your stencils. If you kind of start in one area and kind of shake your stencil a little bit, it will release a little bit easier, but be careful with this not to scratch your paint up. But it's fairly simple. So here it is after all of the vinyl has been removed. If you have any spray paint that's kind of looks muddled, I take some acetone and go around those edges that are not crisp. At this time, I then take a sanding block and sand my rims because you need a stainless steel edge so your epoxy or bright tone attaches to the stainless steel, not the top where the lid goes. While that cures, let's move on to the decal step. I created this on Etsy. It has a high resolution JPEG and PNG plus SVGs by color. So it depends what you want to do. I wanted to print it out on water slide. So I've cut it out around the edges and now I'm making little triangles. This is just going to help it lay a little flatter since it's a wine glass and it has a curve to the bottom. I find that this is a little bit easier. So water slides, you're going to need a container of lukewarm or room temperature water and your glove or coffee filter. And then once the water slide releases from the backing in the water, you're going to add it to your tumbler. Once you have it where you want it, you're going to take that coffee filter or cotton glove and go from the middle to the edges to try to get out any water or air that could be behind the water slide paper and your tumbler. Once I am happy with the main decal, I'm going to add all my little accent decals just randomly around the tumbler just to give it a little bit more character. I let my water slides fully dry and then I add 3D fabric paint in neon green as the 3D drips. With epoxy users, you can go ahead and add acrylic paint into epoxy and let the epoxy do its own drips. CrystaLac users unfortunately do not have that luxury, so I found fabric paints work amazing with the use of CrystaLac products. So I am just adding a thick layer onto the top rim of my tumbler. Once I have it fully around the entire tumbler, I am then going to tap it on my workspace. This will cause it to start dripping and flowing downwards. This neon green, however, is kind of transparent if it's too thin. So I actually kind of layer mine. I will do 3 or 4 layers of this drip. This first layer is going to be the thickest because it's going to go the furthest down your tumbler. So these fabric paint sometimes forms bubbles. So if you take a straight pin, if you kind of pop this right when it's first wet, it will kind of settle and cover itself up. If you wait too long and it pops itself, you're sometimes going to see that, but you can cover it up with your next layer. If you're doing multiple layers, make sure the bottom layer is fairly dry before you add the next layer, because when you tap it, it will keep moving as well. If you like that look, great, but just be aware that the more you tap it down, the more it's going to pull that bottom layer and it could cover your decal. So I let these paints sit for probably 2 days before I add it to my turner. You necessarily don't need to have those drips to be 100% smooth with the rest of your tumbler. You just need to make sure they are completely sealed under your bright tone or epoxy for the longevity of your tumbler. I hope you guys liked this tutorial. I hope you learned something new. If you have any comments or questions, please write them in the comments. I do write back. Please like, share, subscribe. It means the world to me, and thank you everyone for your continued support.